In the year 2759, humanity had finally joined the stars. After centuries of progress and exploration, they stood as one of many young races in the Galactic Coalition, an alliance made up of hundreds of alien civilizations. Most of the older races looked down on humans, calling them reckless inventors and short-lived dreamers. Yet no one could deny one thing: humans were bold. They dared to do things that others only feared to imagine. The newest symbol of that courage was the HSS Valor, the most advanced human-built warship ever created. It was small compared to alien dreadnoughts, but it carried technology no other species had dared to test. The Valor was powered by a quantum singularity drive, a system that bent space and energy together, allowing the ship to move, shield, and strike in ways that defied normal physics. It was a masterpiece of human engineering, and a complete mystery to every alien scientist. The Valor was commanded by Captain Elias Ward, a man known for calm under pressure and for always thinking 2 steps ahead. His dark hair had streaks of silver, and his voice carried quiet confidence. He had served in countless missions, but this one was different. The Valor's first flight was not a battle mission. It was supposed to be a test run, a trial through the deep unknown of the Velon Expanse, a region of unstable space where few dared to travel. As the ship floated near the expanse, Elias stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back. Around him, glowing panels displayed streams of light and data. The ship's AI, Vera, spoke in her calm, soft voice. "Captain Ward, systems are fully charged. Quantum drive is stable. All crew members report ready." "Good," Elias replied. "Let's begin with a full scan of the Velon sector. Keep sensors wide and passive. I don't want to announce our presence until we know what's out there." Vera's light pulsed gently. "Understood, Captain." Beginning scan. The Valor's sensors reached across the void, searching the stars. For a few quiet minutes, the bridge was filled with only the hum of the ship. Then one of the officers, Lieutenant Rhea, looked up from her console. Her eyes widened. "Captain, I'm picking up movement on the far edge of the sector." Elias turned. "What kind of movement?" "Large signatures, sir. Multiple energy cores. It looks like a fleet." Vera's voice changed tone. It became sharper, almost urgent. "Confirmed. 1,712 vessels detected. Heat readings match Draxian military patterns." Elias froze for a moment. The Draxians, a warlike reptilian species, and were not part of the coalition. They had fought endless wars for territory and resources. If their fleet was here, that meant trouble. "Put it on screen," Elias said. The display filled with light. Massive shapes drifted across the dark. Alien ships with spiked hulls and burning red engines. The Draxian fleet was enormous, stretching across the void like a moving storm. Rhea whispered, "That's not a patrol, Captain. That's an invasion force." Elias stared silently for a long moment. He knew the coalition border was only 2 systems away. If this fleet broke through, thousands of lives would be at risk. The Valor was the only human ship in this sector. No reinforcements, no backup, just them. "Vera," Elias said quietly.
"How long before they reach coalition space?"
"Approximately 57 standard hours. And how long for our message to reach Fleet Command?" 49 hours at best. Response time, an unknown." Elias exhaled slowly. That meant there was almost no time to warn anyone before the Draxians arrived. He turned to his crew. "We're the only ship here. We can't stop that fleet, but we can delay them. We have to find a way to buy time." The bridge fell silent. Every officer looked at him with a mix of fear and admiration. Standing alone against a fleet sounded impossible. Yet Elias's calm voice made it sound almost reasonable. Lieutenant Rhea frowned. "Sir, with respect, that's suicide. Even with the quantum drive, the Valor isn't made to fight hundreds of ships." Elias nodded. "I know, but if we do nothing, entire worlds will burn. Maybe we can slow them down. Confuse them, make them think a human fleet is already waiting for them." Vera's light shimmered. "Captain, may I remind you that engaging a fleet of this size reduces survival probability to below 1%. Elias smiled slightly. "Then we'll have to improve those odds." The Valor began silent maneuvers through the expanse, moving behind drifting asteroids and energy clouds. The crew stayed alert, adjusting sensors and power flow to remain hidden. In the observation deck, Elias watched the stars shift outside. Lieutenant Rhea joined him. "You really believe we can stop them?" she asked. Elias's eyes stayed on the stars. "I don't believe in stopping them. I believe in slowing them. Every hour we buy might save millions. That's enough for me. He looked down at the metallic floor. Do you know why the Valor was built? Rhea shook her head. Because no one else would. The Coalition follows rules and safety protocols. Humans build things that others fear to touch. They say we're reckless, but sometimes that's what the galaxy needs. Someone willing to take a chance. Rhea smiled faintly. I think the galaxy's about to see what that really means. Hours later, Vera's voice broke through the calm. Captain, enemy scouts have entered the sector. Estimated arrival, 2 minutes. Elias returned to the bridge at once. Everyone to stations. Cloak the ship. No light emissions. The Valor's hull shimmered as its phase cloak activated. The ship bent the space around it, hiding its energy signature completely. 3 Draxian scouts emerged from hyperspace. Sleek black ships armed with plasma cannons. They moved in formation, scanning the sector. Hold steady, Elias whispered. Let them get closer. The enemy ships drifted near. The Valor stayed perfectly still, like a ghost in the dark. Then, with a quiet command, Elias said, Now. The Valor's weapons came alive. Dark matter lances fired in silence, streaking across the void. The first scout ship disintegrated instantly. The second tried to turn, but a graviton torpedo hit its engines, tearing it apart. The third scout managed to fire once, a single bolt of plasma, before the Valor's return shot ripped through its core. Within seconds, all 3 enemy ships were gone. Targets destroyed, Vera confirmed. The crew cheered softly. It was their first victory. 3 down, 1,700 left to go. Elias sat back in his chair, eyes still fixed on the display. They'll know someone's here now, Vera responded, indeed. Long-range scans show movement. The Draxian main fleet is adjusting course. They are coming this way. Rhea looked at the captain. They'll think a full human fleet is attacking. Good, Elias said quietly. Let's make sure they keep thinking that. Hours passed. The Valor danced through the darkness, using clever maneuvers and false signals to confuse the enemy. Each time the Draxians sent scouts, the Valor struck and vanished again. To the Draxian admiral, it must have seemed like they were facing multiple invisible ships. Inside the alien flagship, the Draxian commander slammed his clawed hand against a control panel. Who dares challenge the Draxian armada with such tricks? He roared. Find that ship! Crush it! Back on the Valor, power levels were dropping. The cloak systems were running hot, and the weapons needed to cool down. But the crew kept working, refusing to rest. Elias stood again at the center of the bridge. He knew the Draxian fleet would soon arrive in full force, but he also knew they had already bought precious time for the Coalition to prepare. He looked at the stars one last time before the next battle began. Vera, he said softly. How many ships did we destroy? 17 confirmed, Captain. And how long have we delayed them? Approximately 8 hours. Elias nodded. 8 hours can save worlds. Vera paused for a moment, then said in a quiet tone, Captain, you are aware the probability of survival continues to fall? Elias smiled again, that same calm, fearless smile. I've never cared about the odds. I care about doing what's right. Far beyond them, the Draxian armada glowed in the darkness, thousands of ships preparing to crush a single human vessel. But the Valor was ready. Humanity's courage burned brighter than any star, and in that silent void, one truth began to echo across the stars. One human ship can make the impossible happen. The stars outside the HSS Valor burned cold and distant. The ship drifted near the edge of the Vallon expanse, its dark hull blending into the black of space. Inside, the crew worked quietly, faces lit by soft blue lights from their control panels. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of the bridge, arms crossed behind his back. He had been awake for more than a full day, but his mind was sharp. He watched the holomap that showed the Draxian armada moving slowly through the sector. Thousands of ships, destroyers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts, advanced like a metal storm. Lieutenant Rhea leaned forward, scanning the data feed. Captain, the Draxian fleet has changed course again. They're spreading into formation. They've figured out someone's trying to delay them. Elias gave a short nod. Then our trick worked. Now they're hunting ghosts. Vera, the ship's AI, spoke in her calm voice. Captain, our energy reserves have fallen to 60%. Repeated cloak activations are overloading secondary reactors. Elias sighed softly. Understood. Begin partial recharge. Use backup cells only. Rhea turned to him. Sir, if we keep fighting and running like this, we'll burn out before they even reach us. He met her eyes. I know, but if we stop now, the Coalition will have no warning. The Draxians will strike unprepared. Down in the engineering deck, the air was hot and filled with the low hum of engines. Chief Engineer Marcus Hale wiped sweat from his forehead as sparks jumped from an open reactor line. He looked up at his assistant. Tell the bridge the singularity stabilizer's holding, but barely. If they push the engines any harder, we'll melt our drive core. Understood, Chief, the assistant replied. Rushing off, Marcus muttered under his breath. We built this ship to survive the impossible, not to invite it. Yet deep down, he felt the same pride every crew member felt. They were doing something no human had ever done before, standing alone against an armada that could destroy planets. Back on the bridge, Vera displayed a holographic projection of the surrounding space. Red dots marked the Draxian fleet. A single blue point marked the Valor. The contrast was almost laughable. Captain, Vera said, based on new trajectory calculations, the Draxian fleet will enter Coalition territory in 41 hours. Elias rubbed his chin thoughtfully. And the message we sent to Fleet Command? Still in transmission, sir. Estimated delivery in 38 hours, but even if they receive it, reinforcements will take days to arrive. So, Elias said quietly, it's still just us. Rhea looked uncertain. Sir, are we really going to stand and fight? The question hung in the air. Every officer on the bridge waited for his answer. Elias turned slowly toward them. His voice was calm, steady. We don't have a choice. If we run, they'll reach innocent worlds before anyone can stop them. If we fight, maybe, just maybe, we can slow them down long enough for help to arrive. A low silence filled the bridge. Then Marcus's voice came over the comms. Captain, I heard that. You're planning to take on a full fleet with one ship? Elias smiled slightly. We've done stranger things before, Chief. Marcus laughed weakly. That's true. All right, Captain, I'll keep the engines alive as long as I can. Just don't blow up my ship. Elias replied, I'll do my best. The Valor prepared for battle. Shields were reinforced. Weapon batteries charged. Every system was tuned for maximum efficiency. The crew moved with purpose. No one complained, no one panicked. They trusted their captain. Elias gathered his senior officers in the ready room, a small space filled with glowing star maps. Here's the plan, he began. We can't defeat the Draxian fleet head-on, but we can make them believe we're more than one ship. We'll use the Expanse's gravity fields to hide, strike from shadows, and vanish again. Every time we appear, we'll make it look like reinforcements have arrived. Rhea nodded slowly. Turn one ship into an entire ghost fleet. Exactly, Elias said. We'll use their pride against them. The Draxians believe in overwhelming power. They'll chase shadows instead of advancing. Every hour they waste here is a victory for us. The officers exchanged glances. It was a risky plan, but it was the only plan. Vera's holographic image shimmered in the air. Captain, shall I simulate possible outcomes? Go ahead, Elias said. After a moment, Vera responded. Probability of success, 8%. Elias smiled faintly. That's 8 times better than before. I'll take it. Hours later, the Valor drifted through a cloud of ionized gas hiding its heat signature. Draxian scouts swept the area, scanning for movement. Elias watched from the command chair. Hold fire until they pass. The crew waited in total silence. The alien ships glided by, their red engines glowing like eyes in the dark. Now, Elias whispered. The Valor's cannons fired in perfect coordination. 3 Draxian ships exploded instantly. The others turned, but by then, the Valor had vanished again, cloaking before they could react. Vera reported calmly. 4 enemies destroyed. No damage to our ship. The crew cheered quietly, relief flooding through them. But Elias didn't smile. He knew it was only the beginning. Minutes later, the Draxian admiral received the report. His name was Admiral Scarith, a tall reptilian creature with scales that gleamed like bronze. His crimson eyes narrowed as he stared at the hologram of the destroyed ships. One human vessel? He hissed. Impossible. A junior officer bowed his head. Admiral, our sensors detected only one energy signature before the attack, Scarith growled. You are fools. No human ship could destroy my scouts so easily. They must have a hidden fleet. Find them, hunt them down. He slammed his clawed hand onto the table, sending sparks across the command bridge. I will not be mocked by these fragile creatures. Back aboard the Valor, Elias studied the enemy formation. He could tell the Admiral was angry. The fleet's movements had become scattered, unpredictable. That was good. Anger caused mistakes. Rhea looked up from her console. Captain, the Draxians are dividing their forces. Some are scanning deep space. Others are searching near the Expanse's edge, Elias nodded. Perfect. The more they split up, the weaker they become. He leaned forward. Let's hit one of their isolated squadron war and hit hard. The Valor decloaked in an instant, firing a full barrage of dark matter lances and magnetic pulse torpedoes. 3 Draxian cruisers were destroyed before they could even respond. The remaining ships opened fire wildly, their plasma beams lighting up space. The Valor dodged between explosions, moving faster than any alien computer could predict. Human pilots relied not only on logic, but on instinct, and that made them unpredictable. Direct hit on enemy cruiser, Vera announced. 2nd cruiser disabled. 3rd destroyed. Pull us back, Elias ordered. Recloak. The Valor vanished again, disappearing into the blackness. Inside the Draxian flagship, Admiral Scarith roared in frustration. Find that ship. I want it destroyed. I don't care what it takes. His officers scrambled to obey, sending orders across the fleet. But every time they thought they found the Valor, it struck from another direction, destroying another ship and then fading away. Rumors began to spread among the Draxian soldiers. Some whispered that the humans had created a ghost ship, powered by a living star. Others said it was a trap, that the humans had developed invisible fleets. Fear was growing, and Elias knew it. After hours of fighting, the Valor retreated into the shadow of a small moon to repair its systems. The hull was scarred and the shields were weak, but the ship still held together. In the quiet of the bridge, the crew rested for a moment. Rhea looked at Elias. Sir, we've been fighting nonstop for 20 hours. How much longer can we keep this up? Elias looked tired but determined. As long as it takes, Vera spoke softly. Captain, my calculations show that our survival probability is now less than 2%. Elias smiled gently. That's 2 times higher than yesterday. We're improving, the crew laughed softly. Even in darkness, their spirits remained strong. Later, Elias stood alone in his cabin, staring at the small window that looked into space. He thought about Earth, the blue oceans, the white clouds, and the people who would never know how close they came to danger. He whispered to himself, if one ship can protect them all, then that's what we'll be. The Valor drifted quietly out of the moon's shadow. Its engines flared once more. The ship turned toward the heart of the Draxian fleet, ready for the next round. In the distance, the enemy's massive warships glowed like red stars. The battle was coming. The odds were hopeless, but humanity had never cared about odds. As the Valor prepared to strike again, a single thought filled every heart on board. Even one ship can change the fate of galaxies. The stars stretched endlessly outside the HSS Valor, silent and cold. But inside, the atmosphere was electric. Every crew member stood at their station, eyes sharp, hands steady. The Draxian armada was closing in. Hundreds of alien ships glowed like red fire in the distance, moving in precise formation toward the human vessel that dared to defy them. Captain Elias Ward sat in the command chair, calm but alert. His dark eyes scanned the holomap of enemy positions. The odds were impossible. The Valor, a single human warship against a fleet of nearly 2,000 ships. Yet he did not flinch. He never had. Vera, he said quietly, give me all possible flight paths through the expanse that maximize our advantage. The AI's holographic light shimmered. Calculating. Captain, options complete. Probability of success for the highest risk path, 11.7%. Elias smiled faintly. We'll take it. Prepare for maneuver Delta. Lieutenant Rhea glanced at him nervously. Captain, you do realize the fleet will fire everything they have the moment we appear? Good, Elias replied. Then we'll hit harder than they expect. The Valor slipped silently through a dense cloud of dark matter and space debris. The Draxians, confident in their numbers, assumed the human ship had retreated, but humans never followed expectations. Elias gripped the armrest. Bring us into position. Weapons ready, cloak ready, shields at maximum. Understood, Captain, Vera replied. All systems green. The first wave of enemy ships approached. Alien scouts detected slight distortions in space, almost nothing. Then suddenly the Valor decloaked and fired. Dark matter lances streaked across the void, slicing through 2 enemy destroyers instantly. The remaining scouts scrambled, firing plasma beams wildly, but their shots never hit. Beautiful, Marcus Hale, chief engineer, muttered over the comms. Looks like they're learning that humans can hit first and vanish. Admiral Scareth aboard the Draxian flagship bellowed in frustration. His bronze scales gleamed with anger. What sorcery is this? One ship has destroyed my scouts and fled. His officers quivered. Admiral, they appear and disappear too quickly. Sensors cannot track them. Scareth's crimson eyes narrowed. I don't care how fast they move. Find that ship! Destroy it! Back on the Valor, Elias made his move. Rhea initiates slingshot maneuver around the gravitational well. We'll loop behind their center formation and strike the cruisers in the rear. Rhea's fingers danced across her controls. Trajectory locked. Engines at full phase output. The Valor shot forward, weaving between debris and energy clouds. Alien sensors struggled to keep up. When the crew saw the enemy cruisers ahead, Elias ordered, "Fire everything. Full volley on the rear fleet." The cannons roared in silence. A volley of dark matter lances and graviton torpedoes tore into the Draxian ships. Explosions blossomed like stars in the void. The rear fleet's formation collapsed. Confusion spread like wildfire. Vera's calm voice reported, 7 cruisers destroyed, 15 heavily damaged, shields stable. Marcus leaned back with a grin. That's human luck and engineering combined. Elias ignored the joke. Luck had nothing to do with it. Timing, precision, and understanding our enemy, or that's what works. The Draxian fleet responded. Plasma beams filled the space around the Valor, weaving deadly patterns. Some hits grazed the shields, but the human tactics made every strike less effective. The Valor moved like a ghost, appearing in one direction then the other, avoiding attacks that would have destroyed larger ships. Rhea adjusted the targeting system. Captain, a dreadnought is approaching. Its armor is thicker than anything we've seen before. Direct attacks will not penetrate, Elias nodded. Then we won't attack normally. Full singularity charge. Use the warp core diversion. I want to pierce its armor and emerge behind it. Marcus's voice came over the comms, tense. Captain, that's dangerous. The core will reach critical temperatures. One wrong move and we lose the ship. Elias smiled faintly. I know. That's why we'll do it perfectly. The Valor accelerated, shields glowing as energy surged. Using the quantum singularity drive, the ship bent space around itself. The dreadnought fired plasma streams, but they passed harmlessly as the Valor slipped between dimensions, emerging directly behind the massive alien ship. A single shot from the Valor's dark matter lance pierced the dreadnought's rear armor. The ship's engines erupted in fire. Before the Draxians could react, the Valor had vanished again. Target destroyed, Vera confirmed. The crew cheered quietly. The odds had been impossible, and they had succeeded. But victory came at a cost. The shields were down to 20%. Engines hummed dangerously. Every system was strained to the limit. Elias remained calm. Damage report, Marcus's voice was grim. Hull integrity 94%, but shields are failing. Engines are overheating. We can last maybe another hour of full combat at this pace. Elias nodded. Then we use that hour wisely. The Draxians were growing desperate. Rumors spread among their fleet. Some soldiers whispered that the humans had created a fleet of ghosts, invisible and deadly. Others believed they were facing some new human weapon powered by a star. Fear rippled through the Armada. Elias noticed it. Fear was a tool. Rhea, set up decoy signals. Let's make them think we have support. The bridge flickered with holograms, multiple projections of Valor-like ships firing from every angle. The Draxian sensors were overwhelmed. Their formations faltered. Beautiful, Elias said softly. They're starting to panic. Hours passed. The Valor moved like a shadow, striking isolated squadrons and vanishing before the Draxians could respond. Each victory brought exhaustion but also hope. The crew learned that human intuition and unpredictability were their greatest weapons. Computers could calculate odds, but they could not predict courage, imagination, and instinct. Vera reported calmly. Captain, enemy casualties now exceed 50 ships. Their fleet is fragmenting. Elias's lips curved into a faint smile. Keep going. Don't give them time to regroup. The turning point came when the Valor approached a dense asteroid field near the edge of the expanse. Elias had a plan, a risky one. "Vera," he said, "initiate trap protocol. Use gravity mines and phase disruptors in the field. Lure the fleet in." Vera's holographic form shimmered. "Captain, probability of success low. Risk to the ship high." Elias nodded. "Then we do it anyway. Sometimes low probability is the only chance we have." The Valor released mines and disrupted the gravity within the asteroid field. Then it fired a decoy signal, drawing a Draxian squadron into the trap. As the aliens pursued, the mines detonated in precise sequence, scattering the ships and crippling their engines. "Excellent," Elias said quietly. "Now they'll be careful, but they'll also waste time." The crew worked tirelessly. Every station was manned, every system pushed to the limit. Exhaustion threatened to take over, but morale remained high. Human determination was stronger than fatigue. Rhea looked at the captain. "How do you stay so calm, Captain?" "One ship, against thousands." Elias looked at her, eyes steady. "Because it's not the ship. It's the people inside. And because humans don't quit. That's why we survive where others would fail." As night passed in the void, the Valor continued to strike and vanish, a single ship creating chaos in the heart of the Draxian Armada. By now, fear had spread among the aliens. Scareth's fleet was disorganized, attacking shadows and ghosts. Elias leaned back in his chair. "This is only the beginning. If we keep this up, we can buy the Coalition time, maybe enough to save worlds." Vera's light shimmered softly. "Captain, we are operating at critical limits. Next major engagement will determine survival." Elias stood and looked out the viewport. The stars were silent witnesses. "Then we make every moment count." Far beyond the Valor, Admiral Scareth glared at the red flashes of explosions in the distance. His pride had been wounded. His fleet, once confident, now hesitated. One human ship had shattered their expectations. Scareth hissed, "Find them! Destroy them! This will not stand!" But deep down, fear had taken root. He did not know how many ships the humans really controlled, and that uncertainty was dangerous. Back aboard the Valor, Elias gathered his crew. "Listen," he said. "We are outnumbered. We are alone. But we are not powerless. Every move we make, every trick we use, slows them down. Every ship we destroy, every minute we gain, saves lives. That is our victory." The crew nodded. Determination burned in their eyes. Rhea smiled faintly. "One ship. Against a fleet. And somehow, we are winning." Elias's voice was calm, strong. "Humans always find a way. That is why we fight. That is why we survive." The Valor fired again, leaping into the darkness, ready for the next battle. And in the silence of space, one truth echoed across the stars. A single human ship could change the fate of galaxies. The void of space stretched endlessly before the HSS Valor, dark and silent, yet charged with tension. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the holomap. The Draxian Armada, once confident and orderly, was now scattered, confused, and fearful. Hundreds of ships had been destroyed or damaged, and the human vessel had vanished and struck again, in ways the aliens could not predict. But the battle was far from over. The Valor was damaged, its shields weak, engines overheating, and crew exhausted. Still, human determination burned brighter than any star. "Vera," Elias said quietly, "give me a full status report." The AI responded, calm and precise. "Hull integrity, 89%. Shields, 18%. Weapon systems, 95% operational. Engines, 76%, with overheating risk at 64% if pushed further. Crew fatigue levels are rising, but within tolerable limits." Elias nodded slowly. "We've done well, but we are not finished. The Draxians will regroup, and when they do, they'll come at us with everything they have. We must prepare." Lieutenant Rhea leaned over her console, her fingers flying across controls. "Captain, the main fleet is converging near the edge of the neutron star cluster. If we can lure them in, we might have a chance to use the gravity fields against them." Elias's eyes sparkled. "Exactly what I was thinking. That cluster can be a trap if we play it right. Vera, run simulations." The AI projected holographic models of the cluster. Red dots representing the alien fleet moved toward blue lines of gravitational currents. Probability of successful engagement, 27%. Risk of catastrophic damage to the Valor, 62%. Elias smiled faintly. "Then we have our plan. The risk is high, but so is the reward." Deep inside the ship, Chief Engineer Marcus Hale and his team worked furiously. Sparks flew from open panels as power was redirected to shields and engines. The air smelled of hot metal, and the low hum of energy filled the room. Marcus wiped his forehead. If this plan works, we'll either be legends or debris floating in space. Either way, humanity will be remembered. His assistant nodded. We'll make sure the engines hold. Captain Ward's plan is risky, but it just might work. Marcus gave a grim smile. Humans always find a way. The Valor approached the neutron star cluster cautiously, cloaking its presence. The Draxian fleet, still recovering from earlier strikes, moved toward the cluster, unaware of the trap waiting for them. The human crew held their breath. Every calculation, every adjustment had to be perfect. One misstep and the entire plan would fail. Vera, release gravity mines along the main path, Elias ordered. Phase disruptors at the flanks. Set decoy signals to draw their attention. Orders confirmed, Captain, Vera replied. The mines floated silently, invisible to alien sensors. The decoy signals mimicked multiple human warships appearing everywhere at once. The Draxians, confident in their numbers, took the bait. Their ship surged into the trap, unaware of the deadly forces awaiting them. The first explosions tore through the enemy formation. Gravity mines detonated in perfect sequence, pulling ships into dangerous orbits around the neutron stars. Engines overloaded, shields failed, and the Draxians found themselves trapped. Plasma fire erupted chaotically as the aliens tried to free themselves. But human ingenuity had planned every move. On the bridge of the Valor, the crew watched silently, their faces illuminated by red and blue lights from the display. Excellent, Elias said. They've fallen right into it. Keep them distracted. Ria's fingers flew across the controls. Captain, enemy cruisers are attempting to regroup. They're firing randomly now. Our decoys are holding their attention perfectly. Good, Elias replied. Now we take out their engines. The Valor fired a carefully coordinated volley. Dark matter lances tore through the trapped ships while graviton torpedoes disabled engines. Alien vessels spun helplessly around neutron stars, powerless to fight or flee. Vera reported calmly. 37 ships destroyed, 24 critically damaged. No damage to the Valor. Even as the Draxians struggled, Admiral Scareth seethed. He had underestimated humans, and now the consequences were clear. Stop this madness, he hissed. Do not let one vessel dictate our fleet. His officers scrambled, sending frantic commands to their fleet. But every time they tried to coordinate, the Valor struck again from another direction. Fear had taken root in the alien crews. Scareth's frustration grew. How can one ship do this? He demanded. They cannot be human. They must be sorcery. Inside the Valor, Elias smiled quietly. No sorcery, just humans. Clever, determined humans. Hours passed. The Valor had inflicted massive damage, but the ship itself was showing signs of strain. Shields flickered, weapon systems overheated, and the engines began to hum dangerously. Crew members worked tirelessly to keep everything functional. Fatigue pressed down on them, but they refused to surrender. Elias walked down the bridge aisle, checking on each officer. Keep your focus. We can't afford mistakes. Every move counts, Ria looked up at him. Captain, we've been fighting for more than a day straight. How much longer can we hold? Elias's eyes were calm. As long as it takes. Humanity doesn't give up. Not today, not ever. The next wave of Draxian ships approached the cluster. This time they moved cautiously, but the Valor was ready. Using the decoys and hidden mines, the human ships struck with precision. One by one, alien vessels were destroyed or disabled. The Draxians could not understand how a single ship could be everywhere at once. Vera's voice cut through the tension. Captain, the enemy fleet is disintegrating. Their formation is collapsing completely. Probability of victory increasing to 42%. Elias nodded. Then we push harder. Keep them trapped. Keep them guessing. The Valor's maneuvers became even bolder. Using the gravity of the neutron stars, the ship slingshotted through enemy lines, striking cruisers in the rear and then disappearing into shadows. Every attack was precise, calculated, and effective. Human intuition and creativity outmatched alien technology and brute force. Captain, Ria said, eyes wide. They're panicking. Their fleet is breaking apart. Elias's voice was steady. Good. But don't let it make us careless. One ship can only do so much. We must use every advantage. In the chaos, Marcus worked tirelessly in engineering. Keep the engines stable, he shouted to his team. The next maneuver will push them past their limits. The crew responded with skill and precision, rerouting power, adjusting shields, and repairing minor damage instantly. Human adaptability was unmatched, and it showed in every system of the Valor. Finally, the moment came to strike the final blow. The remaining Draxian ships, desperate to escape, attempted to flee the cluster. Elias had anticipated this. "Vera, prepare Singularity Core diversion," he ordered. "We'll intercept them and force them back into the trap." The crew tensed. Every system hummed with energy as the Valor accelerated, bending space to appear behind the fleeing ships. With a carefully timed attack, dark matter lances struck their engines, sending dozens of vessels spinning helplessly into the gravitational field. Vera's voice was steady, but triumphant. "Captain, 49 ships destroyed, 37 disabled. Remaining fleet scattered. Victory within reach." Elias's smile was quiet but strong. "Excellent work, everyone. Humanity just proved it doesn't back down." The Valor drifted away from the cluster, engines glowing faintly as systems cooled. The crew was exhausted but proud. They had faced a massive fleet, fought against impossible odds, and survived. The human spirit, courage, and ingenuity had turned the tide. Rhea looked at Elias. "Captain, we did it. Against all odds, one ship held a fleet." Elias's eyes reflected the starlight. "It's not just the ship, Rhea, it's the people inside it. The crew. Humanity. That's what makes the difference." Vera added softly, "Captain, the Draxians are retreating, but their fear is evident. They will think twice before attacking humanity again." Elias nodded. "And that's exactly what we needed. We've delayed them, destroyed many of their ships, and shown that humans are not to be underestimated." The stars outside were calm again, but the battle had changed the galaxy. One human ship, alone and small, had challenged a mighty fleet, and survived. It was a victory not just of tactics or technology, but of spirit. Elias turned to his crew, tired but resolute. "Rest up. Tomorrow we continue. We are humanity's shield, and we will not fail." The battlefield of stars had fallen silent. The HSS Valor drifted slowly through the void, hull scorched and engines humming weakly. The once mighty Draxian armada was scattered, their fleet shattered by one human vessel. The devastation was total. Hundreds of enemy ships destroyed, dozens crippled, and the rest retreating in fear. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the remnants of the alien fleet. His crew moved quietly, exhausted but alert, monitoring every sensor. Even in victory, he knew the danger was not entirely over. A single mistake could still cost them the ship, or worse, their lives. "Report," Elias said. Vera's voice was calm. "Hull integrity 87%, shields 36%, weapon systems 92%, engines 71%. Crew fatigue levels are high but manageable. All major systems are functional. The enemy fleet is in retreat and disorganized." Elias nodded. "Good, we've survived. Humanity has survived." The crew exchanged tired smiles. Lieutenant Rhea leaned against the console. "I can't believe it. One ship, one crew, held off an entire fleet." Marcus Hale, chief engineer, gave a weak laugh. "I said this ship would make history. I just didn't think we'd survive to see it." Elias smiled faintly. "We did more than survive. We showed what humanity can do. Bravery, ingenuity, teamwork. That is our greatest weapon." The bridge was quiet for a moment, each crew member reflecting on the battle they had fought. They had faced impossible odds, yet they had persevered. The human spirit had prevailed where machines and logic alone would have failed. Far in the distance, a coalition communications ship arrived. Their engines glowed blue, a beacon of hope. The crew of the Valor relaxed slightly, knowing reinforcements had finally arrived. The communications officer opened a channel. "HSS Valor, this is the Coalition Command. We have received your reports and visual confirmation. You have done the impossible. Humanity owes you a debt beyond measure." Elias's voice was calm but proud. "Thank you. We acted to protect life. That is all any of us can do." The officer's tone grew serious. "Captain Ward, the Draxians have suffered heavy losses. They are retreating from this sector. Your actions may have saved countless worlds." Elias looked at his crew. "Not just my actions. Every person on this ship played a part. Humanity's courage is in all of us, not just one man." The Valor's engines roared weakly as they followed the Coalition ship toward safe space. The crew took turns resting, but the tension remained. They knew that, although the Draxians were retreating, This was only the beginning of humanity's reputation in the galaxy. Elias walked to the observation deck, staring at the stars. He thought of Earth, of the blue oceans and white clouds, of people who would never know how close they had come to danger. Yet humanity had made its mark. One ship, one crew had proven that courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome any odds. Rhea joined him. "Do you think the Draxians will come back?" she asked quietly. Elias's eyes did not leave the stars. "They will. But they will think twice before underestimating humans again. We have shown them what one determined crew can do. That is the real power. Not our weapons, but our will." The Coalition Fleet Commander hailed the valor. "Captain Ward, your actions will be recorded in the Galactic Archive. Your crew will be honored as heroes. You have changed the course of history." Elias nodded. "History will record the truth. That humans never surrender even when the odds are against them. That is the legacy of the valor." The word spread quickly throughout the Coalition. Reports came in from other worlds. Citizens of many species now whispered about the courage of a single human ship. Children dreamed of the crew. Scholars studied human tactics. Across the galaxy, one lesson became clear. Humans could not be underestimated. Back on the Valor, Marcus wiped the last of the grime from the engines. "Captain, we did it. The ship still flies. The crew survived. And we've made history." Elias clapped him on the shoulder. "It's not just the ship, Marcus. It's the people. You all made the difference. Every risk, every decision, every moment of bravery, I think that is what made this possible." Rhea added, "We're just the beginning. Humanity will continue to rise," Elias smiled. "Exactly. Today it was one ship. Tomorrow it could be a fleet. But it doesn't matter how many we have. It's the courage, ingenuity, and spirit that counts." Days later, the Valor arrived at a Coalition safe station. Crew members were greeted as heroes. Hollow messages were sent across the galaxy, praising the bravery of humans who faced impossible odds and survived. Scholars, military leaders, and civilians alike shared one message: the story of one ship that had stood alone and won. Elias stood quietly as his crew received commendations. Awards and honors were important, but he knew the real victory was the example they had set. They had shown that humans were capable of anything when they refused to surrender. Admiral Scareth, back on his flagship, seethed in silence. The defeat had been humiliating, yet he could not deny it. The humans were extraordinary. "One ship, and they destroyed so much of my fleet," he hissed. "We cannot underestimate them. Never again." The fear of humans spread through the Draxian Armada. No longer were humans dismissed as reckless. They were cunning, brave, and unpredictable, a force that could not be ignored. Months later, the story of the Valor became legend. The ship itself was preserved and displayed as a symbol of human ingenuity and courage. A new military doctrine was established, called the Valor Protocol, ensuring that every human vessel would be prepared to fight with courage, intelligence, and creativity, even against overwhelming odds. Children across many worlds played with models of the Valor. Scholars debated the tactics used by Captain Ward and his crew. The story became a symbol of hope, reminding everyone that one determined individual, or one ship, could make the impossible happen. Elias watched it all quietly, standing before the ship that had carried him and his crew through the void and into legend. "We didn't just survive," he said softly. "We showed the galaxy who we are. That is what it means to be human." Rhea stepped beside him. "And the next time someone doubts humans, they'll remember the Valor." Elias nodded. "Exactly. Courage, ingenuity, and heart. That is humanity's true weapon." The stars outside shone bright, silent witnesses to the deeds of a single ship and its crew. The HSS Valor, small in size but immense in impact, had changed the fate of galaxies. One human warship had faced an entire fleet and emerged victorious. The galaxy would never forget it, and so humanity's rise continued. The story of one ship became a legend of courage, skill, and unbreakable spirit. Across the stars, one truth became clear. No matter the odds, humans could always find a way. The Valor and its crew had shown the galaxy that even in the darkest void, a single human ship could shine brighter than 1,000 stars.